Welcome to the PowerHaus Podcast. I'm Gabrielle Caine, and this show reveals what successful people do differently so you can too. We'll dig into the choices, habits, and turning points behind the results and leave you with one practical step to use each week. Morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can see you. I could hear you. Let me check my mic. There we go. How's that?
Yeah, great. You sound awesome. You look awesome. You look vibrant. So good to see you again.
Thank you. So good to see you too. I'm so excited for this. Okay, so I'm just going to start off by saying good morning, Nick Skalkos. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Hey there.
Uh,
Thanks for
would
having me.
you mind introducing yourself? Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Nick Skalkos. I currently live in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I was born and raised in Kitchener, Ontario, where my wife and I married 25 years ago in a Tim Hortons restaurant. It was a spontaneous wedding. It was very fun. Made papers like from coast to coast because it was just an interesting thing at the time, and we didn't mean it for it to get out of hand, but it was all over the place. It was in papers. It was we were on E Talk, like it was a talk show hosts were calling us every hour. It was amazing, but Sarah and I met 25 years ago, and we just haven't looked back. And together, we've done some amazing things. I've forged quite the career in the music industry where I've toured the world with a lot of my favorite bands growing up, just adoring. And all of a sudden, here I am on a tour bus touring the world with them, playing arenas. It was incredible. Had quite the run, from just having a dream in school to having it become a reality, and seeing how the music industry works and the promotions and the radio and the videos and everything. Very fortunate for that, and ended up doing more behind the scenes stuff in music where I was started recording as a professional studio drummer. I landed a platinum record with City and Color, who's a very popular artist in North America and other places around the world as well. And just started touring with other bands that were again, like it was an incredible career. And then in 2016 I decided to put music aside for the first time and invest in real estate, where I discovered that I always thought that you had to be rich to invest in real estate, and I discovered that there were other ways of investing in real estate. So um, I just looked into, like, how am I going to do this, right? Like, then something needs to change. Like, I think I could do this. So I started investing in real estate, started with conversions, converting single family homes into, duplexes, adding auxiliary suites and stuff. And where we went different was we lived in the auxiliary suites and rented out like the main floors of our houses. And then ran into hurdles with financing, so got into multifamily where, believe it or not, we found it easier to get a bank to give us a loan on a 6 unit than a 2 unit. So that grew into 12 units. And then before we knew it, we were investing across Canada with other investors. And then I got into the States as well. So I'm currently, I'd say I'm a musician slash real estate investor. I currently have, I don't know how many hundreds of units. We've sold a lot of them recently. So I don't know. I've got, I don't know, maybe 60 units in Canada, and I'm a GP on 144 units in Houston right now. And my focus at the moment is I'm currently an account manager for M1 clients. And M1 clients are businesses, developers, real estate investors who are, have run out of their own money and they're looking for the skill to raise capital. What we do here is, what we do at M1 is we just help them through that process of attracting investors so that their business can scale to new levels. So right now I'm just mainly focused on, I'm not really investing so much at this moment, although I may have some opportunities coming up, but I'm mainly focused on just, coaching businesses to, scale and learn how to raise capital, and recording music again, because I mean, that's the fire in me that was like lit as a kid, and I just can't put it out. So that's what I'm up to right now, Gabrielle.
Wow, that's quite the introduction. Thank you so much, Nick, for going through all of that. It sounds like you've done a lot of really exciting ventures in your life. You're still continuing to do more. It sounds like you have a lot going on at once. My question first is a little bit before all of that. You used to work a regular job working for someone else and making them rich. You want to tell us just a little bit about that, like where you worked and what you did?
Well, yeah, and I mean, and to be fair, I still do because, real estate, there's a facade that once you start investing in real estate that you can quit your job but that's almost further from the truth because uh, I mean, there's cash calls happen, investments, you put an investment in, it doesn't come out the way you think it does. It's really tough. Like investing is a long-term thing. So you need a cash flow supplement. And what I find with a lot of real estate investors is that, they're equity rich, but their cash flow broke. So we need to do there in that scenario is create another cash flowing business beside the real estate business, and that was something that I wish someone would have told me because I was sort of blinded by like, yeah, let's replace our active income with passive income. But I mean, 10 years in, and I still have money tied up in property. So there's a need for cash flow coming in. So prior to investing in real estate, I mean, I've done everything from sell chocolate bars to like I was a waiter at a restaurant for many years where I became a general manager. And you know what? Actually, that was quite the experience as well because I had like 50 staff that I was managing, and there's a lot to be learned there. It was this ailing, like it was a really busy restaurant that sales were starting to slump, and I came in to kind of like fix all of that. So a lot of learnings with that as well. And then I started working for one of Canada's largest real estate educational companies, and that was incredible. I got to tour around with some of my mentors and learn from them, and that was an incredible experience as well. And I think and currently now I'm with M1 and investing in the States mainly, and I still do active income, because growing a business is so much. I have options. I always have an option I could have my own coaching company. I absolutely could. But I'm not naive to the fact of how hard that is to do. It is incredibly difficult to, ad spend, right? The people that I work with where I just provide my service, it's my own business. So I'm technically working for myself, but I'm also attaching myself to other businesses where they're throwing in 5K a day for ad spend. They're doing this massive outreach, and I respect the process so much to like almost know better. Like I know how hard it is to get those wheels going. So for me, I'm just like, yeah, I'm a consultant, I can coach here and coach here, and in a way, I'm not creating my own business. I'm sort of attaching myself to other businesses that are creating they're doing the ad spend and they're getting the people that I'm just supporting them in doing that, and I just find that a lot easier right now. Because honestly, Gabrielle, I just want to live like in the middle of nowhere with Sarah, where we may have some like pigs or cows hanging out and some chickens, and like I've got a greenhouse. Like I just want to live like a hermit, part of me just wants to live like a hermit. And then here I am, I'm always dealing with people. I'm always traveling to the States, and it's like this internal like turmoil in me where, I've got this like broad reach. And then I also kind of want to just sort of like, just live a simple life, and that's it. And I think that's my goal here. I think I'm going to be a millionaire that with a very humble home and a very humble lifestyle. I like it. I like the sound of that.
That's a beautiful picture that you painted, and I love that. Wow. And I think that that means a lot too, is staying true to who you are. Yes, you love traveling, meeting new people, doing showbiz. Love your studio. I love the way that you set it up. It makes a great backdrop as well. And following your passion, but then when the dust settles and at the end of the day you get to go home to your beautiful wife and just live a simple life. So it's about balance, though, isn't it? Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm driven by something different than most people. I think it's like enticing me with money doesn't is not going to work here because the time's the most valuable thing, and it's just a matter like when something gets introduced into your life, it's a stepping stone for something else, and I just want to make sure that I'm I just want to make sure that whatever I'm doing, I'm giving back one, and I'm also how do I say this? Like utilizing my wisdom, I guess. Like I wish there was a more humble term for that, but I have something to give back, and I just need to make sure that I'm doing that. That's it. And for me right now, I've been raising capital for 10 years. So when a business approaches me, they have 2, 3, 4 million raised, but they want to scale, like I can help them with that. And so it'd almost be a shame not to do that. So in a way, that's my internal struggle is that like, I want to, in a way, I want to be a recluse and grow my beard and just write albums like from here on in. But I also have these learnings that people just find so valuable, and I see it changing their life, and that's a bit fulfilling as well. Like to be able to do that and guide someone through that process. So that's the balance for me. But time's the most precious thing. So it's just like Nick, yeah, you could be a billionaire. You just need to work 50, 60 hours a week. Like, no way. No, thank you. I'd rather have a 5 or 10 week work schedule and just getting by, to be honest with you, and I don't even know if a lot of successful people would even talk like that, but I don't care because I know what I want, and that's so fortunate to know that. I don't have to search for that answer. Like I just know what I want, and so in many ways I'm fortunate like that.
Well, I love that answer. And I think that knowing is half the battle, knowing what you want and being able to go after it so that you can zero in on it and pursue your passion and be
Totally.
honest to you and what it is that you want, what feeds your soul. You had mentioned something about, working for other companies and working for other people, learning new skills along the way and being able to sharpen them to the point that it is able to help you today in your career.
Mhm.
But for me, it seems like there's a little bit of a gap here that I'm not understanding. And it's when you were working, let's go to the restaurant for a second here,
Mhm.
and you're managing all these people and you have these responsibilities, which means you've got to be available evenings, weekends, that kind of stuff from, I'm assuming. So how do you jump from working at a restaurant and managing 50 people and someone else telling you this is your schedule and the time you need to be here,
Mhm.
to what you're doing now, whether it's music, real estate investing, that kind of thing. How do you make that leap? Because to me, that sounds like a really big jump and it sounds kind of intimidating.
Yeah, it is intimidating and it's hard to escape. And I still haven't fully, escaped that because as I was mentioning earlier, the trade-off is you're right, you're either working for someone or you have your own business. And for me, when I take on something, because prior to being a manager of this restaurant, I was just a server. So I only worked on weekends, which allowed me to tour. I could go away for 3 weeks and come back. I still had a job. But when I took on that general manager role, someone told me, they're like, dude, this is going to be a change of pace for you. So every once in a while, I'll jump into something and I'll get committed. And yes, you're right. It's like day, night, 24/7. And what I enjoyed, I enjoyed a lot of it. I enjoyed that camaraderie. I enjoyed getting, really tuning up my staff, changing things, improving things, breaking things sometimes. Like it was great, but what I realized was that it wasn't sustainable because what's important to me isn't the money, it's the time. Time is what's most important to me. So at some point you come to terms with that and you're just like, yeah, this doesn't fit for me. This isn't for me. But we got to do what we got to do to get, and you got to try stuff too. You always got to try stuff because the fact that, I've done that and to some point I still do. I just know that, hey, this is great and I'm enjoying it, and that's important, but it's not sustainable. So, that's why I love the idea of living in a simple home that's like, where my expenses are less than 1,000 a month, meaning that I'm not required to bring in much money, right? Like I really love the idea of that, because I've lived the other way where it's just like my expenses are 5 to 10K a month, and then you're working, and it just feels like your money's going into a black hole, paying off debt, and you're making all this money, and it's just gone. And I'm so fortunate to experience that because I don't want that anymore. That's not exciting to me. So I rather live very humble existence and just and then not requiring much money coming in. If much and a lot of money comes in, then it goes in your pocket. That's fantastic. I like that.
I do like that. And you had a really interesting way of explaining that, how it just goes into a black hole, because I can really resonate with that. I think a lot of people can. It's you get paid, and then 90% of your pay, for many people, 100% of their pay goes to bills that they never see again. And it's like, well, I guess, we need a roof over our head and food and water and stuff. But then you kind of tend to forget about all the other things that you're paying for, whether it's car payments or lavish lifestyle and entertainment and all that kind of stuff. And it adds up very quickly. So I really love that you had focused on that and really decided what makes sense to you and what fuels your passion. And it turns out that that's not your passion to consume. That consumer lifestyle is, well, consuming. So I'm glad that you narrowed in on that. You said that when you were working for the restaurant
Mhm.
and you only had to do weekends, that you could tour. So you were already doing music at that time. You were already touring. How did you get into music then?
Oh, well, it started in like grade 10 in high school. I was just like drawing my band's logos. We were called the Miniatures at the time. And I started with like a sketch pad, with meeting friends, jamming on weekends. And, I was playing bars when I was 15. It was awesome. It was great. They were like, the owners knew we were underage, but we were the best band in town. So we would open up for all of our favorite bands locally. And it was crazy. It was 9 years of rejection. I knew we were a good band, but we had some things to work out. And I just kept getting rejected for not failing. Like we failed for 9 years until we finally signed a major record deal in 2003, and we saw two releases under Universal Records where we were one of the hottest acts. Like at the time, I couldn't turn on much music or 102.1 The Edge and not hear one of her songs within an hour time span. It was incredible to witness that. So that all came from just a deep desire to not give up. And and again, it was just knowing what you wanted to do. It was so relieving. Like I didn't have to go through school wondering, hey, what am I going to be when I grew up? Because I figured that out when I was 5, when I first heard a Rush song. Like I was just like, man, this is it for me. Like it was crazy. So, or my first album was Michael Jackson, and it changed everything. And then I got scratched and they got Def Leppard, and that changed everything too. But that was it. Like I already knew what I was going to do when I was 5 or 6, and I already had like a natural ability to play drums for some reason. And it just kind of like saved me in many ways. So it was just, I don't know, I always did music in high school, started a band. We ended up signing a major deal like 10 years after forming, basically. And then the rest is history.
Wow. How, I'm sorry, how do you handle 9 years of rejection?
Yeah, it was fun. I think, when you don't care and you're just playing parties for your friends, and everyone's just loving your songs, and I think you're loving your songs and you're surprising yourself. I think you just keep going. It's just so rewarding, especially when you're just doing it for you. I think that's the key.
So when someone tells you no for whatever their reason is, you approach that as fun.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to learn. And but I say that in hindsight. Like honestly, Gabrielle, the first bad review that we got in the press was it was heartbreaking.
How did you handle that?
Oh, I wanted to go egg the guy's house, but I didn't.
I'm glad you didn't.
I was just emotionally immature at the time, so I couldn't handle a bad review, right? And but he was so right though, looking back, like we did suck. It's just that I just needed a little growing up. So, but I had that, and when you get punched in the gut like that over and over and over again, you start to get perspective, and so like I'm just glad that I went over that period while we weren't in the limelight, and we had space to have immature reactions. It's
Understandable. When this is your passion and it's something that you've spent so much time dedicating toward it, and then someone shits on it and says something negative about it, that's a gut punch. That doesn't feel good. How dare you say something about my passion? But then at the same time, when you're in the public eye, when you're performing for people, you're kind of, without realizing it, signing up to open that door to criticism.
Mhm.
And criticism can be so hard when it's something that you love so much. So you needed to view it. I guess would you say that it's viewing it as constructive criticism and maybe more about your mindset about how you absorb that information and what you do with it? Or is it something else?
Well, I think like I knew that 10 years down the road that like it's not going to be easy. Nothing could be, I enjoyed that it's not going to be easy. I like that. It's like fuel for the fire. It's like, okay, maybe there's some truth to this, right? And and then 10 years later, it's just like we had, some of the biggest publications just give us like the critics, we got, positive critic reviews, like it all pays off. I think it can't come too easy, and at the time when you're dealing with it, like first, I think it pisses you off at first, but then it makes you better in many ways. So it's just like a pill you got to swallow, I think. And whether you deal with it at the time maturely or not is almost irrelevant. It's a pill you have to swallow, and eventually you need to you need to get to grasps with things because it's so here's the problem is that when you're a musician you get trapped in this false sense of who you are, and you wrap your identity around this mind-made imaginary person that's like a rock star, let's say. So when someone pokes a hole in that and you've wrapped your identity around this fictitious facade, it hurts because they're taking a piece of who you think you are. So this is all about detaching yourself from all of that bullshit and all of this mind-made character that you've created. And at some point you're almost just like a witness to people poking a hole in this fake facade, but you're just witnessing it. It's no longer affecting you, and the sooner you can get to that point, the just the better all around you will be. A better artist, better person, better lover, better father, whatever. And but that comes with hindsight. I find that usually comes with time and wisdom. It's hard for a 15-year-old or a 25-year-old to have that perspective unless they're super emotionally like mature.
I fail to see how anyone can be that emotionally mature at a young age.
Right.
But yeah, you're right, hindsight, because it takes experience to grow a thick enough skin to say, okay, that's a drop in the pond right there. That's all it is. It's a learning experience. It's constructive criticism, and it depends on how I perceive this information, what I do with it. And not being reactive, I can admit, is sometimes it's very difficult, especially younger me, was very emotional. I'd say emotionally immature and reactive.
Mhm.
But it took that time and experience to say, wait a second, that gets you nowhere.
Mm.
How does it make me look to other people? How are they perceiving me in this moment? Because I'm so busy living life through my eyes, which is a nice way of saying that the world revolves around me. But as soon as I take myself out of that and I'm like, wait a second, how am I perceived by other people? What impact do I have on other people by behaving this way or reacting this way? And how long is that going to stick to me? You know, then it really changes your perspective. It really changes a piece of who you are and how you react. Wow. It almost feels like a therapy session. Well, I'm glad that you shared that. Thank you for sharing that depth of what goes on internally when you're not in control of outside sources.
No, and it can be tricky because you see yourself on TV, you hear yourself on the radio, you're signing autographs, so it's an easy trap, right? But that's all it is it's just a trap, and it could really mess with your head if you're not mature about it and humble. You need to keep humble. Yeah.
That's a big one right there too, right? And I'm sure that it's really hard to get, it's easy to get sucked in, I think, when, you've got cameras and autographs and fans and people coming after you, and all of a sudden, okay, I'm great. I made it this far, right? And then someone, pokes a hole in that, it's like snap right back to reality. Maybe, do you think that that has something to do with why you're so humble and who you are today and the type of lifestyle that you want to live when you go home and things are simple, or is that different as
100%.
well?
Oh yeah, great question. 100%. And had I not experienced the other end of it, I wouldn't I wouldn't know that I want this, but yeah, 100%. I used to party mad. Now I don't have a drink at all. I don't know if I would be like this now had I not just let it loose, right? And consumed and spent and, lived really expensive lifestyle, all that stuff. I think that's fantastic because now I know that's not what I want. So yeah, it's interesting. And there's no playbook for this either. I'm just kind of have to figure it out because I'm around a lot of, businesses and people who are so inspiring and they scale their businesses and they're millionaires, I have clients that have thousands of doors, millions of assets under management. It's humbling. It's humbling for me to deal with to experience that, but none of them none of them aspire to live in a one-bedroom shack with no kids and just living off the earth, make it's or live in the bush somewhere. I don't know, I just love it. But hey, there's yeah, there's no playbook, but there never was, so what else is new?
That's true. And you have to push the boundaries to find out where they are because for everyone, they're different, right?
Yeah.
As long as you're respecting yourself and those around you and you're not hurting anyone, then yeah, push those boundaries and find out one, what you're made of,
Mhm.
and two, figure out what you want. And usually that's a process of elimination of finding out what you don't want first.
Exactly. That in a nutshell is pretty much what I was going at. So yeah, well said. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing such an intimate story of, how you got there. But you also said that you do real estate investing. So, I mean, I'm not gonna assume that, working at a restaurant or being in a band and being a musician is going to prepare you for real estate investing. And then to go from zero to what is it, like 1,000 doors, or what your portfolio is today, as well as others out there that how do you build and scale that? How do you get yourself essentially off the couch watching TV, seeing what other people are doing, and then to actually doing it? What's that step process, that thought process, and what pushes you off that couch to do it?
Well, that's a really good question. Everyone has a why, and that why keeps changing. So what my why was at the time, is probably different than what it is now. But you do need that, whatever that is. You need that strong one. If you're comfortable, you'll never get off that couch. If things are okay, you'll never get off that couch. If for me, I was up against the wall. I think that's what did it. And I had probably, the shittiest hand you can have going into a card game, but I also had the hope that I could still win this thing. And that's what you need. I think if you're comfortable, it's a kiss of death. Like, it ain't gonna happen. You gotta have. I think being up against the wall. I've been up against the wall in my life. I'm so fortunate to have that. Without that, I don't think I'd be here.
I love that perspective that you walked into the game with a shitty hand and today you're thankful for it.
Yeah, right. Because I've learned skills that everyone else didn't need to because they just either had the money or it was easy for them or they weren't motivated to scale like that or whatever I had. But yeah, I mean, it would have been easy investing in real estate had I had the money. But the truth is that I grew up in government housing, and I never planned on having money. I was a broke musician. It was like, and I was okay with that because I was happy. So I think I was up for the challenge. It was just like, hey, if I can do that, then this investing in real estate thing with no money, like, tell me more. Because I think I can do hard shit at this point. And you're telling me this is hard shit, and it was hard, but that's what life's about. It's about surprising yourself. It's about taking on a challenge, and I mean, if you're taking on a challenge and you're comfortable taking on that challenge, and you're doing it wrong.
So I've heard the term sorry, what is it? You have to spend money to make money. And you just said something about doing real estate and investing with no money.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds completely out of the norm, completely out of the realm of what we've all been growing up learning. How do you, first of all, where did you hear that you can invest with no money? How do you spend money with no money? And how do you get to that point? That sounds like a massive hurdle.
Yeah. So now you should have a little bit of money if you're like if you're so I'm a capital allocator. So what I do is I work with operators. I'd get in on a general partnership level with some operators, and what I've done here is, rather than me being the person that underwrites a property, finds a property, puts the offer on the property, I team up with people that do that, and then I'll vet them and I'll partner with them. And if it's a safe, if the risk has been mitigated, if it ticks all my boxes, what I'll do then is I'll introduce that opportunity to people in my network that are looking for investments like that. And because I've garnered a skill in attracting investors into my ecosystem, I have something that these operators want, which is access to capital. And when I figured that piece out, everything changed for me. Everything changed for me. So I've got a situation where these operators need capital. I have a situation where these capital partners need an investment, and I'm the person that they trust. I'm the okay, like, we trust you thing. So that's it. That, I mean, in a nutshell, that's what I do now. And when I've realized that that was possible, to actually have a piece of real estate by having a skill, and for me it started with identifying properties, identifying potential cash flowing properties, and knowing how to make them cash flow, and then offering that opportunity to someone else that I knew that didn't have the time to just do what I did, which was not easy. I had to run properties on 10, 15 different investments, and none of them panned out. And I would put an offer in one and get accepted, and then it would end up like fizzling. Like, all of that stuff takes so much time. It takes boots on the ground. It takes connections, and um, a lot of the people that I partner with don't have that. So when I realized that I had a commodity, which in my case was time, and I had some transferable skills from doing really hard shit in the past that I could take with me right now, that I had a crack at this and I could probably do this. So it basically took someone telling me that I could do that and opening my eyes to the idea, because I didn't know that existed. But I mean, people around me heard the same message as I did. So, why did I prevail and why they didn't is the deeper question, right? And I think it again comes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's having being up against the wall, having no other options, having no plan B, and having a really good reason.
That's profound. So you surrounded yourself with the right people in the field that you were navigating toward.
Yeah, and I was hungry. That was helpful. Everything, every piece of knowledge, every word would sink in and produce. another question, right? And I just kept exploring and trying to find an answer. And I was determined. And that's really important.
I think, I come from sales. That's my background. And you can be really hungry and you can be driven and you can have a strong why when you're in sales, but you can't come off that way from where I'm from, at least. How does that relate in your world?
Oh, great question. So sales people with a background of sales often struggle to raise capital because you're not selling when you're inviting investor into an opportunity. What you're doing is you're just making sure that you're both in alignment. And when I'm inviting an investor into an opportunity, I'm doing so because they they've checked my boxes. I look for a specific investor and I make sure that they're in alignment because the last thing I want to do is get someone mixed up into a deal that doesn't suit them. And I just completed a certificate for my exempt market dealership. So I am now equipped and skilled in assessing an investor and right fitting them into an investment. Now, I'm not going to be a broker because that's a job. Uh, but I mean, it was fun studying for 6 months and passing the test and everything. And now I know a lot about commodities and hedge funds and stuff. But it's not a sales thing. So being, yeah, being driven and eager, to meet your own goals is one thing. But there's no when it comes to raising capital, it can't be a sales pitch. It just needs to be a right fit conversation. No sales skills required actually to raise capital. I think if that's another misconception that if you're going to be raise capital, you have to be good at sales. But I disagree. I disagree.
So good research skills and good listening skills.
Yeah, I think it's just a simple matter of proving that you're trusted and capable. And that's hard too because you need to have a track record at some point. At first, the very first time someone gave me a check, before they gave it to me, they told me, and they're like, "Listen, I've reviewed your numbers, everything's great, but in all honesty, I'm giving this to you because I like you." And that was the very first lesson I learned about capital raising. I mean, it just starts with being likable. And how do you do that? Well, you got to be honest. So, and people can smell that a mile away. So if you have integrity and you're an honest person, I think the rest just sort of falls into place.
That makes a lot of sense. When you and I first met, you were my landlord and you were showing me, one of the main levels, the main level in one of your houses. And we very quickly built a strong relationship because you could smell it a mile away because you'd been doing it for so long. But something that resonated with me, and it stays with me to this day, is you said that I'm honest and I work with integrity. And I've always felt that way. I mean, I've been screwed over so many times, and I know how that feels on the receiving end. I can't fathom being the person on the other end that causes that turmoil or damage or feelings or anything like that to someone else. And I think that speaks volumes about who you are as a person, that you're going to work with honesty and integrity, that you're looking for a positive outcome, not just for yourself, but for those around you that you conduct business with. And that it's, the whole word of mouth thing. People are like, hey, this Nick guy, he's solid. Like he knows what he's doing. He's looking out for you. And, this deal was just amazing. So then you do another deal and another one, and then people get to know who Nick Skalkos is. So can you talk about the reward in that one for a second? When you're a real estate investor and you're connecting people, I'm going to call you a connector for now. You've got people who are looking to invest, but they don't have the time to find the deals. You have people who have the deals, but don't have the money, and you connect them. And then you're also creating homes for other people. Can you talk about the reward aspect from that angle?
Honestly, Gabrielle, I don't think there really is much of one because it just feels so business. It's so business that it's, you know, the only reward that I get out of it is any residual income that I could donate to causes that I can directly donate. You know, that I like. But aside from that, I mean, investors are, they're not overly, you can return investor capital in record time, right? And they won't necessarily be overly thankful, right? It's just like, huh, that was nice, and something goes wrong. It's just like, it's not good, right? So it's a hard relationship to manage. So from that perspective, like, if you right fit an investor into a deal, at the very best, they'll be grateful to a degree, but it's not very fulfilling from what I've experienced, and that's fine. It's just business. So it's like, okay. And when it comes to providing affordable housing for people, I mean, I still don't think like it's doing enough. Like I don't feel like uh, it's just business there as well, because it might be affordable, but it's still high. I think high across the board. I think affordable now is not affordable to people. I'm not a developer, so I'm not really giving back in that way. I've chosen to just sort of create wealth, and then give it back through donations, through other charities that I like. And I used to give them my time, but now I just, give them my money. And that's it. So I don't necessarily find the transactions dealing with investors, providing, rental units I don't find any of that really fulfilling, and it's not inspiring. I wouldn't look into that process to get inspired. I think what inspires me is the fact that I've got an exit plan where I won't need to work. And that excites me, where I have a plan where I can have all of my time back and live a life, do something that takes up my time, unless I absolutely want to do it and get some extra cash in my pocket. That excites me. So it's the returns that real estate can provide that I find fulfilling. But I mean, that takes so much time to get. So there's really, like, that's why I do music. Yeah, that's inspiring. Aside from donating to charities, music's inspiring, and nothing about real estate investing is inspiring. Like, honestly, I'm only doing it because uh, I want real estate. I want long-term wealth, and the only way to do it is to raise capital, because I really don't have much of my own. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll invest in my projects. If I have a little capital, I'll invest alongside with my capital partners, but nowhere near the amount that they bring in. I just do what I can, and everyone respects that. But nothing about it's really fulfilling. It's just the lifestyle that I'm looking to get, and the idea of that lifestyle. That's exciting.
Well, that was the perfect answer. Not that I was setting you up by any means, but that answer was perfect. It really, how do I put this? Solidified what you had said in the beginning about your why, right? So maybe you're looking at real estate as a vehicle to fund the lifestyle that you want, to be able to pursue your passions, being in music. But you also went into how, this might not be fair, or you don't agree with the prices of, quote unquote, affordable housing, which I think we can all agree with right now. But you take your money and you donate it. And once again, that's who you are as a person. That's your beautiful soul and your integrity. And that's what makes you who you are. And something that I'm finding is the more people I talk to, it's not about filling their own pockets. It's about fueling their passion and giving back. It's having a beautiful soul and having pure intentions. And that's what I see in you. So that's why that was the perfect answer.
100% agree. Yeah, well said. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty amazing. So what do you like to donate to?
Oh, there's a local sanctuary here called Lalo, and they're fantastic. They take in rescue pigs and cows and chickens and turkeys and goats, and we're always welcome to go and visit CC, the little piggy, and I just love it there. It's fantastic. So we donate to anything that brings awareness to animal cruelty, anything that brings, awareness, or sanctuaries as well. So not only sanctuaries, but people that are out there bringing awareness about animal cruelty and some of the awful laws that we have here in Canada. We're so behind in Canada. We're always the last to implement laws, for, pigs and cows and agricultural animals. So always fighting for that, like I've been outside marine land protesting for years, and so I'm so glad to finally see that hellhole get shut down. And I was, super stoked to play a small part of that. A lot of my money goes to animal justice as well. They're a legal team in Toronto that are trying real hard to make changes to some of our awful laws here, and give animals more of a right. So that's what I'm passionate about. That's what Sarah's passionate about. I used to bang the streets and go out there with signs and get real angry, but now I'm just like, you know what, there's a different way, a different way to go about this. So yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful thing again, and I strongly urge that anyone that wants to make an impact in this world, find your passion and fuel that and help those who don't have a voice for themselves, who can't fund their own way to have a voice. And a lot of the times, I mean, everything does, the bottom line, it takes the dollar to push that forward. So anything that we can do, I strongly encourage, because I know what it's like to not have a voice, right? When I was a kid, I didn't have a voice and I so badly wanted to be heard. And the more I spoke out, the more trouble I got into, or the more I got laughed at as well, which really hurt my feelings at the time. So speak for those who can't, you know, give them,
Yeah. A
give
voice.
them that dignity.
Yeah. And then, yeah, and you're right. When you speak out on something, it could really turn on you. Like I've lost friends and family over it, and so some of it was probably my my approach, and others is just a cognitive dissonance. And when you highlight it in someone, it could really dig and take a dig at them personally, and it's a tough one. So I'm just still trying to navigate that whole thing, and I just found it easier to be like, you know what, I'm creating long-term wealth. Like I don't have any kids. I don't, and I have a strong why to change things. So why don't I, put this like protest sign down and rethink things. How am I going to help? And yeah, I think creating a massive amount of wealth and donating it to these people that are trying to make a difference is really rewarding. It's nothing about investing in real estate that's rewarding. That thought is rewarding. Yeah.
What you just said was very beautiful and very moving. Thank you for sharing that. If there's one thing that people can do today to make a change in their lives and take action toward fueling their passions the way that you have, what's one step that you would suggest that they do?
Well, you well, okay. Well, first thing is I implore everyone to go vegan. Like, if you can, please, like, consider that. If you love animals and you hate the way they're treated, please consider doing that. Uh, Now, in terms that would make you better, the world better, everything better. In terms of going after your goals, you you can't half go at something. You gotta go all in. And if you're comfortable, then you're probably gonna fail. So just come to terms with that and ask yourself, are you okay with that? And you really need to just dig deep, really deep, and not give up. I think that's it too. You gotta have your desire needs to be so strong that you just won't give up. That's who I put my money behind. Always. Someone that's just so determined they're just not going to give up. I don't care how smart you are. It doesn't matter. Like I was sitting beside smart people in all these conferences, like where are they right now? It's not about smarts. You have to want it so much you can't give up. And that's what I bring with me, full 360 circle from my early days of breaking in the music industry. I broke the code for success. I knew not to give up. And I'm still using it today.
I love that. And I love that for you as well. I love that for you and Sarah, and for all those innocent lives that you're protecting, because I know that they can feel that too. That's such a beautiful thing that you're doing. If I ask you to promote yourself and what it is that you're doing, how would you promote yourself and how can people find you?
I don't know, Gabrielle. What I normally tell people is that I'm a multifamily real estate investor and I work with accredited investors to invest in real estate. And, if you would like to learn more about what I do and what I'm doing, then feel free to reach out on Facebook and message me. And, we'll be first on the list to let you know if there's something coming up. But honestly, at this point right now, I'm just more focused on exploring my musical passions, to be honest with you. I released an album last year. I'm writing new material right now. And I'm just not in like networking mode, to be quite honest with you. I'm just like, you kind of caught me at a weird time in my life where I'm kind of just like, I feel like I'm 15 again. And I'm just writing new music. And you know what? I think it's because I go through phases. I just spent the last 10 years, raising millions in real estate, capital for real estate, investing with 30, 40, 50 partners. It's been a wild ride, right? And I think like I'm open to having conversations with accredited investors for what I've got coming up, because I think there's some big stuff coming up. But honestly, I'm in my like 15-year-old music mode right now, just in my playground, playing around in the sand, writing new music, and reliving my youth and my passion.
Well, you've piqued my curiosity. What is your music being released under? Is it your name, a band? How do we
Yeah,
find
no,
that?
it's under Golden Slides. So I've released some music in 2025, I believe, and you can stream it on all platforms. It's called Golden Slides.
And is that the name of your band or is that the name of the album?
No, that's the name of my band, and the band is just me. So I just play everything, and I might work with artists and producers for the next album, but I'm not sure. But it's been very exciting. I put music aside for so long, so it was really exciting to come back to that. And I'm just I'm in coaching mode and studio mode. But there are opportunities coming in real estate. I do believe that, and uh, I'll probably have an opportunity that I can't refuse come up shortly as well. And so I'll probably have an offering. But where we are today, January 30th, right?
31st. Yeah.
31st, yeah. I'm in coaching mode and music mode.
Nice. You're pulling a Dave Grohl.
I love him.
So do I. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today, Nick, and taking the time to really peel back those layers on what it takes to be successful and take that leap forward and to just keep pushing through. It means a lot that you shared your story with us, and I'd love to have you back again.
Well, that was great. No, I really enjoyed that interview. It went down a path that most don't go. And it could be because of our history together, or you just asked some really interesting questions. But I had a great time here, and I want to thank you again. And for anyone looking to reach out to me, honestly, the best. I am hard to pin down, but you can reach out to me on Facebook, Nick Skalkos, do a private message or something, and I'll get around to you at some point. But forgive me, I am locked up in my studio right now, so just give me some time. And again, Gabrielle, thank you for having me. Appreciate that.
Lovely, Nick. Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay, take care.
This is the PowerHaus Podcast with Gabrielle Caine. Know someone who should be on the show? Email info@powerhouspodcast.com. Until next time, do one thing differently today.